Grand Rising, loved ones. Welcome back to another episode of Healing Wisdom with me, your favorite spiritual advisor, Empress Oracle. I hope everyone is doing well today. So today I want to talk about what might be a sensitive topic. You know, maybe not, especially to you penis holders, but it's okay. Today we're going to talk about men and self-esteem because I really don't see men talking about the issues that they have with self-esteem or self-love or the lack thereof, and that is something that really needs to be talked about. What we have to realize nowadays is, men have feelings too. The same way us females go through our trials and tribulations and our emotional roller coasters, not just when we're on our period. Life is a roller coaster. Sometimes we feel good about ourselves and sometimes we don't. And it's okay. Men, it is okay. It's perfectly normal for you to sometimes not feel your best or feel the best about yourselves. And you don't have to hide it. So we're going to talk about these. A lot of men do not know the difference. Excuse me. Belay my last. A lot of men do not know the true definition of self-love or self-esteem. Okay, people seem to misconstrue the two. A lot of men seem to have the idea because of, environmental circumstances, societal beliefs, preconceived notions that society has put on men or labeled them as being a certain way. A lot of times men have the belief that self-esteem comes from material things, or how many, women that they can have, or men, whatever you like, okay? They seem to think that self-esteem, self-worth, and self-love is found or attained in material things, and that is not so. That is not so. Or they like to think that self-love is basically, the love from the streets, the love from the people around them and stuff, and that is false. Self-love comes from within, whether you are male or female. Self-love is the best love, and it always, always, always starts on the inside. Always. Don't let nobody tell you any different. All right? Society has also preconditioned men to believe that their value, as I said before, lies in not just material things, but also the sexual conquest that they have. So a lot of times you have these men out here who they end up being fuckboys, by default. I'm not saying now some of y'all really are fuckboys, okay? Don't believe the hype. But then also too, there are some guys who feel as though they have to act a certain way in order to be considered masculine, or in order to be considered somebody. They have to have a lot of notches on their belt or a lot of sexual conquest, going around just breaking hearts and stuff, because they feel like that is what is empowering to them. And that is false also. You don't have to be a hoe. Billy, you don't have to be a hoe. Put your dick up, Billy. Put it up. You don't got to do that, all right? Because a lot of men did not grow up receiving love, they do not know how to truly give love. And that's something that they really don't want to talk about either, because, sometimes the male species has a problem with self-expression if it's not, in the physical form, right? So that's why their intentions tend to be misplaced. For example, a lot of times they don't know how to express like, hey, I care for you deeply. I feel some type of way. So instead of expressing themselves verbally, they may want to shower the person, their significant other, or the person of interest with gifts and everything. And that is kind of like trying to buy somebody's love, right? Females, the same way that we say that, because you have all these sugar mamas and sugar daddies out there, you can't buy somebody's love. First of all, you have to love yourself. Men, women, you have to love yourself first. And once you love yourself, whoever it is, they will see that love that you have. And then, if they love you the same, then they should reciprocate. Everybody has their love language. And I do understand. So a lot of men, their love language is, acts of kindness or gift giving and everything. However, there is a thin line between giving gifts to show your appreciation and love and trying to buy love with material items and stuff. And a lot of times you will see, especially the less fortunate looking males, they will, because they feel like they don't have enough qualities because a lot of them, you know, men, they tend to go on the surface on what they see. They're more aesthetically inclined. So a lot of times they feel as though, okay, well, I'm not the most handsomest, but I can buy this female's love. I can buy this female's affection and stuff. And you know what? Nowadays, a lot of us females, and you know, myself included, we realize that we tired of the fuck niggas. There's more, you know, as you get older, you realize that surface things, okay, they might, you know, give you that initial adrenaline rush and release those initial endorphins of pleasure and stuff. But if there's nothing else under the surface to go on, if you don't have any substance, you will never keep or maintain a happy and flourishing relationship. And that is what a lot of men do not really realize yet at this time. And it's very important for us to have our kings to know their worth, because by knowing their worth, not only will they value themselves, treat themselves better, attract better females, because, you know, we don't need the drama. We don't want the baby mama drama. We're trying to have a new world order, but also too, they will raise their standards and they will naturally draw better things to them. And it'll just boost the morale for our kings, right? Because self-love is very important. Obesity in men largely contributes to low self-esteem or low self-esteem issues or low self-love issues. And I say that because we all know this. If we have spoken to a man around us, it doesn't matter what race, what ethnicity, any of that stuff. 9 times out of 10, most cultures have programmed our men to where they are not supposed to express their feelings of pain, of anguish, when they feel sad, when they feel down, when they feel depressed. And what do people tend to do when they don't have a healthy form of expression, of self-expression? They eat their feelings, especially men. A lot of times you see a lot of men, a lot of these men that are obese and that have suffered from childhood obesity, if you ask them why they started overeating at a young age and stuff, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say it's because they did not receive the certain amount of love. They did not receive, you know, the words of encouragement and stuff that they needed, even if they were a chubby child of genetics, to work on themselves. So in turn, because they had to toughen up and, you know, boys don't cry and men don't cry, instead of that, they tend to eat their feelings, sit in front of a video game all day, become a couch potato, X, Y, and Z, and that contributes to that obesity and stuff. And that is something that we need to realize now, because we don't want to have that pattern with our children, because then that's when it becomes a genetic issue, because that's how they dealt with their issues when they have their children, because they don't know how to sit down and have those talks with their sons. They plop them in front of the television. They give them a video game. They give them some food, you know, all these things that cause that. And then all of a sudden they say, oh, you know, the bigness runs in the family, is genetics, when really it's not. It is an emotional placation, should I say, that was inherited and just followed through the family, i.e., you know, generational curses, if you want to call it. Okay. So just to tap more on that, because, you know, I be getting so carried away. You know, I got my notes though. I got my notes. Because men are taught to keep their feelings aside, they tend to be drawn to rich food and drink for comfort and satisfaction more than females, because a lot of emotional and creative outlets are deemed also as feminine, especially in African American culture. Do you know how many men that we have out here that have such an eye for fashion, but, you know, they can't creatively express themselves through clothing, because then they'll be looked at as a sissy or gay, you know? So they go and they drink their sorrows away, drink their feelings away. There's men out here who can braid, who can do hair, that, you know what I'm saying? They might have grown up around females, and so they picked up those traits on how to do those things. So, but it's not looked at as masculine. So they found a creative outlet, or they witnessed one, but they feel like they can't personally do that because maybe they have all sisters, but their dad is like, nah, men don't do that. Let me tell you something. Let your children do as they please. All men don't have to be athletes. All men don't have to be boxers. That does not make them gay. That does not make you less than. All right? Men have a harder time admitting self-esteem issues. Therefore, they try harder to appear tough. Okay? And you see, I said tough. which also leads to a higher criminal potential, you know, and a lower success rate. Whether you want to say it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, that's the truth. And I'm not saying that. I didn't Google this. This is from, you know, years of personal experience. This is from me working almost 11 years in law enforcement, right? I see it all the time. I have seen it all the time. So this is facts. If you look on TV and you look at people, this is facts. This is what really goes on, right? It is okay, as I said before, for a man or a male-born species to sometimes not feel confident about themselves. You don't have to go out and prove yourself. You know, you don't have to have a pissing competition with the other guys and try to be tough. Because as you get older, what you start to realize is that real strength comes from within. Comes from within. The people who are not in touch with themselves, that are not balanced and aligned mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, they are the ones who try to use physical attributes to show strength. But as you get older, especially now that everybody is getting more enlightened and in touch with spirituality, you realize, you know, as you go through those tests, as you try to break those toxic karmic cycles and whatnot, you have no choice but to be strong. You have no choice but to pray to God or your God or whatever and say, Lord, give me strength, and keep it the fuck pushing. And that's when you learn where true strength comes from, right? So when you have these young boys telling you, okay, well, you a pussy because you won't go steal this, swipe this from the store. You sitting there trying to prove yourself, and you end up with a record before you even get a chance. And that's something that we have to stop. We have to stop that, because that is inadvertent self-sabotage. Inadvertent means you did it, but you didn't even really mean to do it, right? But you're self-sabotaging yourself. There's so many young men that end up with records at a young age. Oh, that was all my notes. There's so many men that end up with records at a young age because they're busy trying to prove themselves to people who don't even know their own self-worth. That's something that we have to stop doing. So ladies and gentlemen, work on your self-esteem. Work on your self-love. Men, it's okay to take a time out. It's okay to cry. It's okay to say, hey, I need to love myself more. And a part of self-love also is taking care of your appearance. It's, you know, men, it's okay to get a pedicure, because most of y'all feet be fucked up. Most of y'all feet be fucked up any goddamn way. It's okay to do things like that. It's okay to get a manicure. You don't have to go and get sparkles and polish on it. But taking care of yourself, let me tell you something. It is proven when you look good, you feel good. And that does not just count for females. That counts for males also. And men, the same way that you can see when a woman has low self-esteem, the same way that you can see past all the fly clothes and the makeup and the lashes and all that bullshit, and you could tell by a female's action if they truly love themselves. There are female narcissists out there that can tell when you have low self-esteem and you don't truly love yourself as well. And they will use that, and they will emotionally abuse you. So be aware of who you are, what you stand for, how you feel about yourself. Learn to love yourself first before you go out and try to find love in somebody else, because you will never be satisfied. And you will never find what you're looking for in anybody else, gentlemen. I tell this to my ladies all the time. But men, you need to realize you are kings. You are valued and you're appreciated. But you also have to love yourself and know your worth and know that you're a king, so that you can get what you truly deserve. Not just the material things. Those things come and go. If all of your riches are stripped from you tomorrow, are you still going to feel worthy? Ask yourself that question. And don't forget to go over to YouTube and check me out. I have all my videos on there, Empress Oracle 333. And I would love for you guys to go to my website where I have my custom crystal jewelry. And you can email me for custom orders, www.empressoracle333.com. So with that being said, Empress has some errands to run. You guys be blessed. I love you all, whether you love yourself or not. I just want you to love yourself more and know your worth. And have a blessed day.